What are we doing, Kyle?
Right, at the moment we're in Lagan and we are going to be planting up a, what will become a hedge to keep the client's huskies at bay. Keep them within the fenced area.
Enrico put on his Instagram that he would be out filming today. Put up a questionnaire and a few of you guys have left some questions. The key driver to my success. Coffee. Next question, my good sir. This is what we have to deal with. It's something that's not talked about a lot in the industry, and just it has just got a stigma around it. We are expensive in the area. I've heard it before, you know, oh, he's really expensive. This is why it's expensive. I share the running costs of the business. Good morning. Welcome back to a new week at Morrison Lawn Landscape, where we document, or well, I document our journey in business. It's a Monday, it's a brisk 2 degrees. It is supposed to warm up, however, it is quite nippy this morning, so just in the yard getting opening up. Got a variety of stuff on this week, but I am manifesting to be a good, successful week. So I've just opened everything up. Waiting for the guys to come in. They will not be far away, and today Kyle and Ed will be out cutting grass, so the idea is to get them in, get them loaded up and away as soon as possible, just so they can get going. Last video you would have seen we did the Saturday shift to get that project finished in Aviemore. 99% finished. Damien just needs to go back and put a few fence boards on that we didn't have. Pick up some waste material as well. There's a couple ton bags there that we couldn't get into the trailers on Saturday, so he'll go back and do that. We've got a driveway that Mike and Aaron started last week. He got it all scraped out and pretty much ready for to ram and chip. So we've also got another little job next to that one, putting up a small fence, etc. So probably going to get Mo and one of the young lads to go there. Because yeah, we're back down to 7 staff now, now that Mike's left. So yeah, 3 teams of 2, plus Gillian, plus myself. So there is 8 of us in total, including oneself. I'll wait for my morning coffee to kick in before I come and speak to you again. So, just in at Richie's just now getting some chips. This is the colour of chips that the customer wanted. We've got a choice of a few different quarries. Yeah, depending on where the quarry is, will be the colour of the gravel. And this is what she's opted for, because she's got this in the front garden. So this is what the driveway is going to consist of. Damien has just in the finishing touches. Damien and Joe on the Aviemore job. So they've headed back through to start getting the ground prepped for this gravel coming in. And just 2 doors down, Mo and Aaron are putting in some fence posts for another customer, so I'm going to fire a few loads in today. I will have to leave sharp today. I've got a wedding party tonight for Megan and Josh. Megan you will have seen in the videos from the bakery. She's getting married today, so congratulations to them. So I'll be leaving sharp. I've got to go pick up a kilt, a Scottish dress, and go from there. Here's Big Andy. Loves it. It was cold this morning, and now the weather has changed and the sun is out. Thank goodness. We have arrived. Tight access. The big loom. Morning folks, it is Tuesday. We're back up at the new build site that we were doing work on a month or so ago. We built a fence at the back and then we turfed the show house around the back. Now they're ready for us to come in and continue the fencing down the side of the house to get the show house all tied off. They're trying to get that pushed on so they can get a sale. Just getting a bit of ground moved so we can get the fence in. So we're just getting the boys set up with that. Then we've got to go back and finish the driveway. Got maybe 1 or 2 more loads of chips to go back in and then that'll be that driveway finished off. So starting one job, finishing the next. Ed and Kyle are on the grass cutting route. How you feeling the day?
Good, ready?
Ready for war?
Yeah.
What about Mole?
Prepared now, like.
After the coffee, like.
Coffee. Sponsored by Yeti.
And Aaron?
No, I'm feeling good.
Fine and good. Good stuff. Hello, how are you? Good. Yeah, we're going to put that one back in.
Put down, but yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going to look at my grass or something?
Yeah, we can do that.
Well,
You get a photo of you in the digger and a video, get that camera.
oh no!
It's alright.
Can I actually do something?
Yeah.
Oh,
Good jumping.
I really feel that I need a hybrid. So,
Right,
right.
very careful. That's you alive.
So,
So go, you want to go forward.
yeah, I am.
So, no, it's back to front. So push,
Oh, I see.
and then you'll go that way.
Okay.
Keep going,
Yeah?
keep going,
Going?
keep going,
Yeah?
keep going. Grab the handles. No, these 2 handles.
These?
No, those ones.
These ones?
Yeah.
Ah. And then,
Look at you.
very sensitive. Now, how do they lift up?
Go back a bit further.
That's a bit of a cheat. That's a cheat's way of doing it, isn't it?
It's
Then
alright.
lift.
Yeah. Right, now push. Come out over to here. Just with the arms. Just with the arms. Take your feet off the pedals. There you go. Just with your arms.
Just these.
So you push forward. Lift up and push forward. So that one controls your dipper.
Right. So,
If you pull that one towards you,
this one.
yeah, that lifts it out. And then push this one out.
Oh my god.
And then you want to put that one down.
Oh, they do separately?
Yeah, they do separately, yeah. Don't dig up the tram. So you want to pull it.
Yeah, don't dig up that thing.
You pull that at the same time, and you want to pull this at the same time to get the grade back.
Right.
So you've got to come them back together so it doesn't.
Right. Now, forward. Where am I going with this stuff, by the way?
I'm going that way.
I'm going, so I want to go backwards, yeah? Yeah?
Yeah, that'll do.
No wig mirrors. Okay.
So off your bucket list, is it?
Yep.
Yeah, and you pull that up.
Snowplow.
Pull that up towards you. That's you. You're safe.
Snowplow next.
Snowplow,
Yep.
is it?
Yeah. You don't know anybody who's got one, do you?
Pins are getting loose. Pins are getting loose. So that is another gravel driveway ticked off the list. We have been doing a lot of gravel work this year anyway. A lot of the driveways around here are chipstone, gravel. Yeah, just needing a refresh. One of the things I wanted to touch on was like what kind of work we want to get into and expand in. Obviously, as I've touched on before, the more complex of a job that you have, the harder it is to get people to do and to scale, you know. Depends really what you want from your business, and I guess I need to ask myself that, but I'm leaning more and more towards less of the complex stuff and more of the simpler services, because I could go and learn how to do resin driveways and monoblock and stuff like that, if I want to remain on the tools, that might be an option. That might be an avenue to go down. But if I'm trying to expand, with expansion would mean me coming away from being on site as much as I am, you need then skilled people to do these jobs and deliver these jobs, and finding staff is hard enough. Finding staff that can do these types of work is even harder. You've just got to weigh up, I guess, what is it you actually want from your business. And I think I've came to the conclusion that I want to be really, really good at doing the simpler stuff that has a big impact but isn't so hard to do. Essentially, there's a lot of work involved here, but all we've done is came in with a digger, scraped out what was there already, removed it all, added a geotextile to ram to act as a weed suppressant. I'm not going to go into that because I've touched on it in every video. And then we've installed a decent layer of 20mm crushed chip. This is actually 20mm down, so that means it's 20mm down to about 5mm or 10mm, because they use this in their concrete mix. So this is what we've got. This is all they had in this colour, and it binds together quite well because of the smaller stones as well. Yeah, it's just got sort of different textures. And with the driveways, it really depends what you like, personal preference, but we tend to whack the driveways afterwards. We compact it to bed it in, get the stones settled. It just gives it that sort of much more even and flat, smooth surface. And I guess probably wouldn't churn up as much as it would if it wasn't. But it depends, because some people like the textured look of gravel. But yeah, we just like to run the whacker over it just to bind it all in, bed it in together, and yeah, make sure we've got it as flat as we can. Pretty happy with this. Moira is chuffed with it as well. She was chuffed with her shot of the digger as well that you would have seen. And yeah, another transformation for Morrison Lawn and Landscape.
You just work on your pot size and just make it a bit deeper than the pot. But we don't want to plant deeper than that.
Right.
Because if you can actually just break them up a bit.
What are we doing, Kyle?
Right, at the moment we're in Lagan, and we are going to be planting up a what will become a hedge to keep the client's huskies at bay. So we've chosen some some pyracanthias and some berberis. All of them have some nice sharp thorns. The idea being, if the dogs prick themselves, they're not going to be as inclined to jump over the fence. Yeah, we'll probably keep them all at a sort of, just above, a bit higher than the fence level. But once there's enough of a screen, the dogs aren't going to feel the need to jump out, because they won't be able to see the tasty little sheep in the background. Yeah, and then we're going to do some more planting up on the verge as a screen between the camping and the client's house.
Cool.
Yeah, so we've got a mixture there of cotoneasters, cherry laurel, and some more berberis, which gives some nice colour year-round interest, and can be pruned into hedges eventually. Oh, and one more little bit between the pods and the client's bedroom, we're going to plant a little hedge of viburnum pinus compactum, which are lovely flowering shrubs.
Morning guys, it is a Wednesday morning here. We've got Enrico back. What have we got on today? So the guys we've got 3 teams out today. We've got a big team of 4 out at Tormore Distillery, cracking out the distillery and the 2 properties around the distillery that we do. Jake is back out. I've got him started on a digging job in Boat of Garton, basically an area that's needing prepared and shaped up to be turfed. So, seeded. We're going to be seeding it. So he's out there with a digger, cracking away with that. And Damien is back at the fence from yesterday, cracking on with the rails and the boards. So that is the plan of action today. We're going to go back and help Dam get the rails on and stuff. And then got a few other bits and bobs to do as well. So another sunny day. See if it's as warm as it was yesterday. But yeah. So last night, Enrico put on his Instagram that he would be out filming today. Put up a questionnaire, and a few of you guys have left some questions for me to answer, which we will try our very best to do. What is question 1, sir? Key driver to my success. Coffee. Next question, my good sir. I don't know. I guess just ambition. From a young age, I've always kind of visioned literally where I am now, thought it was so far away, like, you know, that's somewhere where you want to go, but you just don't know quite how to get there. Now, while I'm here and I'm in this moment, it's like, right, okay, what's the next thing? Or you sometimes forget to appreciate where you have actually got to. But with that sort of vision and ambition in mind, just showing up every day, regardless of how I feel. I maybe don't show up in full capacity, but I show up nonetheless, somehow make it work, and consistently getting out of my comfort zone. Nothing good ever came from your comfort zone, and you have to take risks, and now is the time in my life to take these risks when I have no responsibility in terms of a family or, you know, a house, kids and all that sort of stuff. So now is the time for me to take that risks, and I have, I guess, had the privilege of starting this from a young age. I have got to where I am today through my own doing, but it's a lot easier for me to take those risks. It really depends on someone's circumstance. If you've got a kid, if you've got 2 kids, you know, a house to pay for and bills to pay, it's very hard to then just throw yourself at something like this where it's really unknown. You might not have a wage the next day. You know, you're self-sufficient. You have to, you know, arrange everything. The security of a job is comfortable, which is totally understandable. It's not just about your comfort zone. You've obviously got to think about it, you know, with a sensible hat on, because by all means it could work, but it could also go wrong, and that's the things you've got to consider if you have more responsibilities which are, you know, stopping you from taking that leap. But I started this journey when I was about 14, 15, cutting grass as pocket money, and it slowly built up over the years whilst in school, whilst having little responsibility, and I built it up to a point where when I left school I thought, I'm going to go for this full time, and I have done, and this is where we are now. So since leaving school we've just went up and up and up. But yeah, key driver to success in a nutshell would be, I guess, just my ambition and hunger for it. I don't know if it was the biggest risk, but it felt like the biggest risk at the time because, again, it was the unknown, getting out of the comfort zone, not sure if we'd make it work. But at the age of 19, I took on my first full-time member of staff. Yes. Now, at that point, I worked by myself. I would often get Dennis, my lifetime neighbour, family, friend, who was a greenkeeper as well. He used to come out and help me with the grass cutting quite a lot. So it was just me and Dennis. But there came a point where I was that busy and we had certain projects on, like fencing and stuff like that, that I needed the extra pair of hands on. And then my friend Callum, again, a childhood friend, a year older than me, he came out a couple times just to help me for a day here or there, a few days. He wasn't in employment at the time, obviously, so I turned around and said, do you want a job? And it just turned into a full-time job. So that, at that point, it really excelled what we could do. The output, obviously we've got 2 people on the job consistently now. We can do more, we can turn over more, we can make more money. And within that time, making more investment and stuff, it just kind of spiraled. Maybe over a year after that, me and Callum parted ways. Callum went to go and do a joinery apprenticeship, and then I took on another member of staff. I took on 3 members of staff, brand new at the same time, which was really difficult, like really sickening. I wouldn't recommend you do that unless you have a team fundamentally there already. So basically, 3 people came into the job at similar times, although having some experience, completely new to the business, new to how I run things and stuff. So it was a lot of like stress of like trying to get the job set up and, you know, people insured on vans and showing them the job, like walking them through stuff and showing them how everything works. And yeah, it was quite a difficult period. But without that, and without employing and taking the leap in employment, we wouldn't be here today. I'm only one person, I can't do everything, and it is important to have, someone's cutting grass on my turf. It's important to have a good team around you, because we're now up to 7 members of staff, plus Jake when he's part-time, because obviously Mike's left now. So without that, we wouldn't have grown. You can only grow so much as a team, as a solo person. Really depends what you want from your business, but if you do want to grow and expand, you cannot do that alone. So you just have to take the risk in employing someone. And often, once you employ someone, you'll find yourself, if you've got your marketing and everything done right and you're turning out good work, you're going to find yourself fully booked up for that as well. So, and then it's just at that point when you hit capacity, do you take on another member of staff? And yeah, that's basically the kind of way it's went. So if you are thinking about taking on someone, it is really quite scary, fully understand that, but it is fully necessary if you want to grow, because if you do want to grow a business that A, operates without you being there, or B, gives you more of an output, then yeah, you're going to have to take the risk. So if you're really busy, can't handle the work that you've got coming in, I don't see why it will be an issue you taking on someone. Now, it's important that you do that in the right way. The only way is to throw yourself into the deep end and work it out as you go. That's how I did it. I'm 22. I'm still learning every day, trying to be a leader, trying to encourage and be an example to people that are not just employed by me, but who are older than me. Some might have more experience than me, like life experience and all this sort of stuff. So it's quite a hard thing to balance, but if you have respect from these people, then it makes it a lot easier. Because if they didn't respect me because of my age and what have you, then it wouldn't work. And respect goes both ways. So what are they, 100 mil?
150. Everyone's a bit disorganised, unlike a normal job where it's just one customer. It's just a site, isn't it? Everyone's a mess. Ben's obviously walks round with them and knows exactly what's happening. Whereas this, I'll show you what we have to deal with. Like, all you get is that, and you got to make. Does that make any sense to you? Where the fence is going, where the boundaries is.
Because if it was like a private customer, then you'll know. They'll tell you exactly.
They'll tell you where the boundary is, and then you normally take down an old fence or things like that. So you basically just put it in the same spot. But this was like a field before, so you've got to be careful as to where you put the posts and the gates and things like that. Because at the end of the day, they're paying thousands of pounds for a plot.
Yeah.
And if they're losing part of their garden or gaining, someone's getting a smaller garden, someone's getting a bigger garden, so you've got to make sure it's all spot on so everyone gets what they pay for.
Everyone's happy, yeah.
Some idiot pushed the post by accident. I'm accountable for my actions.
Ow! Almost clotheslined myself.
Some idiot clotheslined himself.
Right, going to the bag.
Go for it, fire on. We need a lot of water because this hole is basically on top of a drain, so all the water is just draining out. Cheers mate, see you later! Not going anywhere now.
In like 40 years, someone's going to have an absolute nightmare getting that out.
40 years, this fence is going to stay way longer than that. Do you know why?
Post saver.
Post saver sleeves, and you can get these. So we're just getting the rails on. What we tend to do here is stagger the joins where possible. So we've got a full rail from that point to this point. The next rail down will have a join in the middle, and that just adds a bit of strength to it. If you have all your joins in the same post, you've got a weak point. So we stagger the rails. A few people ask me how we do the fences, how we work out the levels and stuff. You basically want to get your top rail as bang on as possible. Make sure you're happy with it, happy with the height, as straight a line as possible. Obviously you have to accommodate the ground, but you don't want to be going up and down with the ground. So you need to sort of split the difference. So we've got a line from here to the very end, and then it slopes down to the end there where it will turn across to the gate. So there's a bit of like working out to do before you actually crack on. And once you've got your top line sorted, the rest is easy. You just work down. This is what we have to deal with. Now obviously this has kind of been sitting in the sun. Now, this isn't the merchant's fault. This is just the standard of timber nowadays. It is a natural product, so it will twist and bend, but it's even more emphasised because of how fast growing timber is nowadays. If you think years ago, all these rings would be really tight together, but there's such big spaces now because of just the way they're grown. So you really need to get it fresh out the pack on the fence before it starts to twist. That rail is pretty much unusable. Cutting grass and stuff like that, and working in the garden. I was always kind of out pottering in the garden. Machines, driving things was always an excitable time. Used to go, Dennis, who actually worked for me, used to take us out when we were younger to the golf course on a quiet day, and he used to give us a shot of the gator. Probably shouldn't be telling anyone that, but a long time ago now. Used to let us drive about in the gator around the course. And I just remember it was just like the highlight of my week going out to do that. My uncle also used to do quite a lot of grass cutting. He had a ride on John Deere lawnmower, and I used to honestly just get so excited trying to go to drive this thing whenever I get the chance. And when I was that young, you just used to drive about pretending to get the grass without the blades on. So yeah, machinery, just a general sort of interest in it, I guess. I think just leaning on people who have done this before, have been in similar industries. Sean, a good pal of mine, has helped a lot with his experience, who has been there, done that, experienced a lot of things. So it is also good to be able to bounce off people like him. Finding people and surrounding yourself with people who have done it, who are going through the same thing as you. Sam J. Rocky, who you would have seen in the videos before, he is just under an hour's drive away from me, so being in the similar industry, I've gotten close with Sam, and there isn't an awful lot of people up here to, I don't know, I guess I met Sam through social media, and through that sort of social media group, Sam was the closest one, and we're pretty isolated up here. Tom is another good friend of mine. He's the one I went to the tree surgery mastermind with. Flew down, Tom picked me up, and yeah, whenever I'm going down south, we often try and tie in with each other. We went to Grounds Fest the last 2 years. So yeah, just people I've met through the industry who are going through the same thing, and then just became friends with. And yeah, it is important because it can certainly be quite a lonely industry, and just running your business as well can feel like quite an isolating and lonely. What is the dog coming out with now? We've just got what have we got? Roo, I need a new visor for my car. Can you bring it? Is anyone missing a visor for the... Come here then. Come here. Oh. Visor for the car, anyone? I guess we're playing fetch with it now. And it's in a tree. I'm going to have to take that back now and put it in the bin because it's... You hold it, Jaeger. You'll hold it. Good lad. Okay, thanks. But in terms of people that I kind of look up to through social media and stuff, there's quite a variety of people, to be honest. I've obviously spoken about social media before and the sort of relationship that I have with it. I hate all the nonsense on it, all the fake bullshit really that is on social media. But there is a lot of positivity on there, and if you can change your algorithm to cut out all the nonsense and be aligned with what your goals are and your life ambitions, then yeah, social media can be a really good place. And there's obviously key figures, Alex Hormozy, Chris Williamson, a lot of this a lot of these people who believe in personal and self-development, which I'm quite big on, I really see the value in looking after yourself and mindset and growing your skill set and becoming the best version of yourself. So anyone in that sort of public figure is someone that you should be following as well. You're not going to agree with everything that people say online, but yeah, my algorithm is filled with mainly lawnmowers, diggers, self-development, motivation, sort of lifestyle content rather than just nonsense. So if you're in the grounds maintenance and landscaping business, then I would highly recommend you watch Mike Andes on YouTube, Instagram. Mike is based over in America. He runs Augusta Lawn Care, and it's a big franchise. I don't know what they turn over, 50 million or something. I don't know what it is. They've got hundreds of locations over the world. He shares such invaluable content about running a business, how to scale, the 4L framework, and a lot of what I say is what I'm learning from him. So I'm not taking credit for that, but it's just what I've learned, seen that works, makes sense, and I am showcasing back to you guys. But the content he puts out there is so invaluable. It's stuff that you'd have to pay thousands of pounds to work out and yeah, just get knowledge on. He posts regularly. He goes around the US doing turnaround shows. So he goes to struggling businesses, goes in, sees what the issue is, and tries to turn things around. And the content, although it is in America, everything that they talk about is transferable over to the UK. Obviously the sort of language is a bit different in what they speak about, but in terms of business is much and such the same regardless of what it is. So the business side of things is what is really important, and yeah, it makes sense. I take a lot of value in what Mike shares, and if you are trying to run a business similar to mine, I would highly recommend you go and look at his content. But there's a lot of other great people out there, but Mike Andes is certainly someone I watch on a regular basis. Financial decision. Not really good with finances. Wasn't really a financial decision. Again, it was just more of a big leap. Taking on this yard when I worked by myself, had a van and a trailer, had limited, cash flow because I was, just working by myself, and I think I'd left school at that point. Yeah, I'd left school at that point. So at the age of 18, I took on this yard and developed it to what it is from the ground up. That was a field. We, over time, as I could afford it, built a fence. We, Sean, at the start of when I first started to know Sean kindly came up and he removed a massive mound of soil that was at the back from stripping all of that field. So I had that massive bund of soil at the back of the yard. He kindly came and removed that and then imported some crusher run stone to build up the area and harden it up. So that was a blank canvas at one point. It was just a fence and hard stand, and it slowly developed into what it is through a lot of time, money, and just work. I took that yard on at a point when I didn't need it. The imposter syndrome and the anxiety that came with that was pretty significant. Why this yard's too big, I'll never fill this. I had full plans of having containers down the bottom, 10-foot containers to rent out and have a bit of a passive income. However many years down the line, what's that, 4 years down the line, nearly 5, we have outgrown that yard and we have now taken on the yard next door. So, but I can truly say my growth and expansion would be significantly limited if I didn't have the space to do it in. If you're working out of your driveway, which I was before, then it is very much difficult to sort of act like a business. You don't want your staff coming to your house every day. It really depends what you're wanting to do, but if you're trying to grow and expand a business, definitely having a yard space or some sort of storage is definitely a must, and it has been a significant factor in growing the business. Little legs. Get up in the back. Hop in. Willow, come here. Hop. Come on, hop. The step. Where's Banjo going? Banjo, ever since he had the snip, has put on a bit of weight and we are struggling to get it off him. However, we are on this new weight loss food that's supposed to make him feel like he's full. Do you feel any lighter? No. Well, we'll keep eating it. Come on. The biggest challenge right now is just trying to juggle it all. With the bigger team, trying to juggle all the work, trying to keep things going, keep things busy, making sure that everything is staying as efficient as possible, because with efficiency, or lack of efficiency, you're essentially just losing money, simply put. Yeah, it's not ideal if you aren't hitting your targets or aren't making enough enough money, to be honest. It is unfortunately about liquidity. What Mike Andes talks about in his coaching is the 4L framework. Now you've got liquidity, leads, labour and leadership. Now we're probably dancing around liquidity and leads at the moment. We are busy, but with the more staff that you bring on, the more of an output you have, the quicker you can get through the work. You need to have more work for them to go to. So my time is best spent out trying to get jobs, networking with people, advertising, trying to get jobs in the diary. I am spending a lot of my time kind of on the job site, which I don't mind. I don't mind doing that. I quite like getting involved and getting projects over the line, but it's hard to do that and focus on that when all this other stuff is lingering in the back of your mind. Before you know it, you come to a loose end. You've got the project out the way, and it's like, what do we go to next? I always make it work. I always pull things together. I describe my life as a bit like lastminute.com, but I'd say that's probably got a lot to do with ADHD, which I am now clinically diagnosed ADHD, and looking at medication for that. But there's a lot of restructuring and stuff that I need to do and getting better at organisation and filling the diary in advance. I've got a real problem with forecasting work, because no 2 days are the same. If you're out a day in one target, the rest of your schedule's out. So it's finding a way that works for us. Also having a pool of smaller jobs in the diary, whereas if the guys get finished early one day, then what can they go and do? Is there a little fill-in job that they can go and knock out, etc. So yeah, just trying to juggle it all between working on the job site, keeping the guys busy, training the guys, upholding standards, keeping work coming in, and just making it work, really. What would I be if I weren't in this?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that is a question. Happy?
That's a good one.
That's a good answer. I don't know. I find quite a bit of enjoyment in the sort of creativeness of videography. Before Enrico came along, I was doing all my own videos and stuff, and I'd say I had a pretty good knack for it. I had a good idea of sort of angles and editing and stuff. I've always been quite good at that, so possibly something along that lines. But stuff like the services have always appealed to me. I grew up loving military and army and was fascinated with World War II and all that sort of stuff, so the army was a consideration at one point, and also a firefighter. I even thought about going a retained firefighter, but my life is as hectic as it is. Do I really want to burden myself by being on call and getting a call middle of the job and going, right, I've got to go now? So, but you never know. On another note, in the space of a day, I've had 2 customers cancel on me. One customer from over a month ago was really wanting us to dig out the garden beds and get it back to a blank canvas. They weren't always here. They wanted to be here for us to do the job. They're back up this week, and I said, right, we'll try and get it done towards the end of the week. And they came back and said, we've been pottering in the garden and we've decided to take it on ourselves in sections. So I was like, right, okay, that's one job that's it's been in the diary back and forth for ages. That's been cancelled. Went and looked at a job last night. The customer said you came so highly recommended and everything, and lovely people. They wanted a lot of the similar things doing, garden beds dug out, and some of the beds to be remulched as a sort of suppressant for weeds. Agreed a price to go in and spend a couple of days there, and they came back today saying, after a long hard think about it, we're going to do it ourselves. It's more than we want to spend. And I did go back to them and say, obviously, listen, we can we can absolutely work in your budget. Like, my price is my price at the end of the day. We need to make what we charge. Search and rescue going on today or something. What is the crack? I hope that's just training or something, nothing serious. But yeah, obviously I went back to the customer and said, we can work to your budget. I always ask budgets. I asked budgets last night there. I says, what are you willing to sort of, what are you wanting to spend in the garden? This is my rates. This is what I need per day, per guy. We can tailor to your needs. And they were all, yep, good for green light, basically. They've obviously had to think about it and thought otherwise. So that is multiple days' work for, a couple of guys lost in the space of a day. And I wouldn't say it's out of any fault of my own. It's just the nature of the beast. You win some and you lose some. It's very hard to not get disheartened when you don't get accepted for work, your quotes don't get accepted, and or you might get a cancellation or something, or that's quite expensive. It's not your responsibility to work out what someone can afford. You need to charge what you need to charge to run your business. It's as simple as that. I'm not fleecing anyone. Like, this is what we need to make per person per day to make this whole thing function. To go in any less is almost suicidal. Now, if you have quiet spells, sometimes breaking even would be better than completely losing out. But it's important to know that not everyone should be able to afford your services, and if you're super busy, you're at maximum capacity, you're booked out for like a year in advance, that you really should be raising your prices. That you should not be that busy, in my opinion, if you're trying to, regardless of what you're doing. If you're hitting capacity, you're winning all the jobs, raise your prices and a lot of your problems will disappear. People think profit is a dirty word. There's such a stigma around making money in business. I don't charge over the moon for anything. We need what we need. If the job takes this long, this is how much it is, this is the materials, etc., blah blah blah, here we go. We often come out on the higher end of the pricing scale, but there is not a fixed price that everyone has to deal with for a certain job. It differs from business to business, and it's trying to get people to understand that. We're obviously a sort of bigger outfit in the area. We've got more staff now, multiple vehicles, a yard to pay for, staff development to pay for. That course the other day, that's got to be paid for somehow, and it's not the client directly paying for that, it's just incorporated in the cost and running. You need to make enough money to cover all these things, but a lot of people squirm at the word like profit. I don't want to charge as much, and I get it. I've been there, done that. You don't get accepted for a job, you might feel guilty. Have I overcharged that? Have I underpriced it? I've underpriced jobs countless times, and I have overpriced as well. I am not perfect. You're literally trying to have a calculated guess about how long this job is going to take you. You run into bother on the job. If you've not accounted for any sort of extras, then you're going to be losing out money. So yeah, it's definitely a very touchy subject across all trades and things. You so often hear about it as well. People go for the cheapest price, which I absolutely get, because if money was no object, everything would be fine. But it is. Everyone's got budgets they need to work to, and I fully get it. If someone can't afford that, then that's fine. But the cheapest price, what is included in that cheapest price? Are they cutting corners? Are they not using the certain materials that they need to be using? Or is the standard and job different? You've got to think about all these things. I know what we turn out. We turn out quality work. We 100% do, and I've got confidence in the product that we give out. It's maintaining that confidence, not getting disheartened, trying to be as accurate as you can with estimating and pricing, hence why getting like Moser and stuff like that to help measure areas to get more of an accurate measurement, and just time in the seat doing it. Pricing jobs, it either works out or you lose money. I would rather lose money on the job than have an unhappy customer. Now that might sound like bad business, but if you're losing out every job, then you've got an issue. But the odd time you might not win, but if the customer's happy at the end of the day and you break even or whatever, then that's fine. I'd rather the customer be happy than me be, quids in. So it's something that's not talked about a lot in the industry, and just it has just got a stigma around it. We are expensive in the area. I've heard it before, oh, he's really expensive. This is why it's expensive. I share the running costs of the business. It cost me £15,000 to insure my vehicles for the year. £15,000. That's not my problem. That is not your problem. That is just a thing, and I have to accumulate. I have to charge for that. I have to account for all these costs, because otherwise there would be no point. There'd be absolutely no point in running a business. So it's not like, oh, he's out there to get me and he's charging this and he's trying to fleece me. It's simply things that are really expensive right now. And unfortunately, the wages that people are earning aren't really matching what the increase and the inflation is in the country, in the world right now. So yeah, it is an issue I think we're all fighting as tradesmen, or if you're running a business. People complain about prices, but we are running a legitimate business here. You know, we've got an office admin, we've got a premises, we've got all the insurances, we've got all the vehicles that all need sign written, you know, kitted out, thousands and thousands of pounds invested in machinery, staff development, staff training, making sure everyone's up to scratch with, you know, first aid, health and safety. All these things amount to such crazy amounts of money. We have to charge enough money to stay afloat. So if you are a customer who is looking to employ someone, bear that in mind. Not everyone's just out there to fleece you. There will be the people that are out there to do that, but a lot of genuine businesses do your background checks, look at reviews, look at testimonials from customers, look at their work. What are they turning out? Is it shoddy or is it good? You know, it's all these things have got to be taken into consideration, and you cannot paint everyone with the same tar brush. So, rant over, I'm sweating. Sound.
Is that the world's strongest landscaper?
Tom Stope. I'm sorry, I'm not doing this again. So yesterday, trailer got some TLC. Got a new gator here. These always tear. If you have trailers, you'll know. New breakaway cable, because it was a little bit tired. Brake bulb was out in the back, and the light surrounds were, the light covers were cracked. So replaced them. One thing that I'm big on is making sure that everything is right for your staff to then be going out on the road and towing. At the end of the day, if they get pulled over with your trailer should be up to standard, you know, legal, and they should be trained in the correct manners of tying things down and making sure, because at the end of the day, they're responsible for that load, they're responsible for towing that trailer. But if you're asking your staff to go out and tow things and do things that are going to get them in trouble, essentially, if they get pulled over and, you know, they've got bald tires or a light out and stuff like that, or an unsecure load, then that's something that I feel quite strongly about. I've got conscience. Last thing I'd want is the guys getting any sort of penalties on their license or fines through something that I've done or not done. If it's their own fault, then that's fair enough, but you've got to do everything you can as an employer to make sure that the kit that the guys are using are up to scratch, safe and legal. Probably something that's overlooked quite a lot. Anyway, let's go. Health, cleaning up the diet a little bit, trying to eat a bit more cleaner, homemade meals and stuff. Taking, you know, for lunch. We eat relatively healthy at home anyway, but it's just like for lunchtime, if I don't prepare food, you know, I'm just going to end up going to a cafe or something and getting something to eat. So I actually have my mother on board. Now a lot of people think, oh, your mum still... I'm paying my mum to cook me, like, meal prep, essentially. Because I just don't have... The last thing I want to do when I come home from work is even think about cooking something. I still live at home, is what it is. I live at home. I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to get to the gym as much as I can. I hate going in the evenings in the summer for some reason. I just feel like, you know, I should be doing other things in the summer. So actually at one point I was going through the day. I was getting the guys sorted in the morning, and then I was going about 9-10 o'clock. Getting the session in then, and then you're fueled for the rest of the day. Our gym doesn't open till 7:30, so I can't go first thing in the morning. But since I've been on the tools a lot more, then that hasn't really happened because I've got to be there on site and stuff. So yeah, it's a bit difficult to balance. I had my ADHD assessment a couple of Saturdays ago, and since I have actually been clinically diagnosed, I've done absolutely nothing to take that any further. I basically need to go and get an MOT from the GP. God, I sound like I'm rapping. an MOT from the GP. Blood pressure and stuff like that, and get my heart rate, just so they know for medication. I'm going to go on to medication to see if it helps. It can change lives. Sometimes medication doesn't work, 80% of the time it does, 20% of the time it doesn't, and knowing my luck it will be 20%. And that'll be a waste of a £900 diagnosis. But this is my life and my lifestyle that I'm, putting value on, and I don't think you can really get annoyed at spending that much money on something if it's going to ultimately change the rest of your life. People and their priorities are quite concerning sometimes. They will grudge spending money on healthy foods, stuff that's going to improve their health and their well-being, but would quite happily spend £100 in a night out drinking and doing drugs and stuff like that. I have I've nothing against anyone who drinks. I don't drink anymore, and I have nothing against anyone who drinks, but I think priorities is something that people have got to consider. They complain about certain things but waste their money on utter nonsense.
All these to come out, fill in that back bit a bit.
Yeah, try and keep as much soil here as possible.
Yeah.
What I'll do then is I'll bring the riddle bucket back,
Yeah.
and then can riddle out a pile of soil, clear that sort of pad for you. See what give it a scoop and see what it is. It's quite a good bucket, but yeah. So we've just taken the riddle bucket out to Jake, prepping this area for seed. Going to be getting seeded. I want to minimise what we take away from here, so I'm going to get him to try and sift through as much of the rubbish as much as possible, saving some of the soil, because we're going to need some soil to build that area back up. It's a bit of a long process with a small digger like that, but once you get into a bit of a rhythm, separating all the soil out of the bucket, then getting rid of all the rubbish that's in it. Hello folks, it is Thursday. I don't have my microphone today, so I have no idea where it's gone. So we're just going to have to do it with the trusty audio of the DJI. I've done a bit of running around this morning. It's currently in the afternoon now, it's 1:15, but Damien was back at the site trying to get that fence finished off. He got as far as he could, but they are turfing in the rest of the grass, so he couldn't get that finished. But he's got as far as he can. I think it's just his gates and one section to do, and then that'll be that job wrapped up. Jake the rake has made a fine job of the soil mound that he's... Wow, goats on the road, what the hell. But he's made a fine job of that area of soil that we need to seed. Took the riddle bucket out there obviously yesterday to riddle as much of the soil out to keep the soil and get rid of the waste. So I just went and got rid of the trailer load that he filled. There's maybe a ton or so of stuff to go. When I tipped off, Collins just loaded me up with soil. So I've got a load of soil on the back. We'll go back there, get the soil off, the rest of the waste into the trailer, and then that will be that job pretty much done and ready for seed. The client needs to get an outside tap fitted so the seed can be watered in. There's no point in us seeding it if it can't get watered because it will just dry out and blow away. Ed and Mole are doing some grass cutting in Aviemore, and then they're heading up to Lagan to get some fence posts in for a gate. Customer wants to gate off the section of lawn so that she can see the dogs at night time. When it's dark in the winter, she wants to be able to see them and not have them run down the dog run there. So plenty to do, a bit of a mix and mash kind of day. Sort of plenty of little things on the go. Trying to juggle it all is always fun and keeps us busy. I said yesterday about the 2 customers that cancelled on us, which is a difficult pill to swallow because that's work in the diary, and we're trying to encourage as much work into the diary now as possible to keep the guys busy and keep things efficient. We are a small business, but it is quite a big machine now of sort of monthly outgoings, the cost of running things, guaranteeing people a wage, and just juggling it all. So we're trying to get as much work in as we can. I would rather be too busy than not busy enough, obviously. Anyone says, oh, we're just too busy, we're just so busy, that's a really good complaint to have, because normally we are really super busy, but because we've got more teams on the go, our output is now more, so we're getting through the work way quicker, and it just means that we need to make sure we are getting enough work into the diary so that we can maintain momentum going forward and keep busy and not be twiddling our thumbs. It shows you the sort of the cycle of business, because when we were a smaller team we were sort of at capacity because we were booked up in advance, but now we've got a bigger team. I was touching on that 4L framework yesterday about Mike Andy's. Now we've got a bigger team. That 4L framework, we are in the sort of leads and liquidity side of things, which we need. The more leads we get in, the more work that we get. The next one from leads is labour. So if you've got that much leads and you've got that much work booked up, you need the labour to complete those leads. So it's quite a good analogy to work around. So that's where I would sit ourselves in terms of in that structure. Liquidity, cash in the bank, and leads is something that we need to, I guess, improve on. And we are busy. We've got plenty to keep going, but it's just trying to juggle it all and make it all work. And you know, you can't go and start that job because you've only got day in the diary, but it's going to take a week, so you've just got, it's a lot to organise and keep busy and make efficient, because if it's not efficient it just all falls apart and it's just almost not worth the time. So, but touching on that, 2 people cancelled yesterday. Funnily enough, I just left the job at Lagan there, got halfway down the track and thought I need to go have a look in the back of the pickup to find something. Got out, and the lady that I stopped in front of their garden, she came out and I was like, oh sorry, am I in the way? And she said, no, I'm wondering if you've got a card. I'm needing some help in the garden. Absolutely, here's a card, my name's Ben, blah blah blah. We're based in Grantown, we can do the variety stuff. We look after your neighbour's property. Initially I'm looking for help with the grass cutting, but we look after your neighbour's property on a fortnightly basis, so we can get you on board with that. It'd be absolutely amazing. Also the garden, she's got a lovely garden that it needs quite a lot of work done. Just to tame it back, there's just a lot going on. It's literally fate that I stopped in time in front of that customer, got out, and she's seen the pickup. We are now going to be going there tomorrow to spend the day there, so that's another day of revenue for 2 guys to go out there, and I think we're going to be spending a total of 2 days there, maybe another day next week we'll go back. So she's absolutely delighted that she's found us. It's a weight off her shoulders. It's been something that's been on her mind. Obviously it was a bit annoying losing that 2 other customers. Now we've got 2 days worth of work off of this new customer, a new relationship. We're going to be maintaining the garden regularly and could lead to future projects. So pretty chuffed for that. Really lovely lady as well, which makes all the difference. Took Kyle along the road to have a look, and he's going to be making a start there tomorrow. So things are looking up. For how long, I do not know. Oh! Leave a turf.
Leave the turf.
Leave it. No, just fire it in, but don't dig away the turf. So, we've tipped off the soil. Well, I say tipped off, dug off the back, because the tipping trailer, I don't know if it's a motor or if it's a battery, something needs fixed in it. Got that off, getting the rest of this rubbish away, trees to come away as well, and then we'll spread this soil in here, and then whatever's left up the back there. Morning folks, it is Friday, and what a Friday it is. 20 to 7 in the morning, and this is the weather that we're graced with. Hopefully a sign of a good summer. This morning I am on the retail park runs with Damien. So I've came out sharp to try and get some stuff sprayed. We're going to get the site knocked out before it gets busy, and then we've got to go up to Inverness and do the retail parks there. We've only got a few small ones, so it's nothing too big. We'll get it all done in the day, but I just wanted to come out and get it knocked out early before this car park gets really busy. And yeah, the last thing you want to be doing is trimming next to cars and everything if we can avoid it. So I've got the van fully kitted out. Because I've not set up for a grass round in a good while, well, especially the grounds maintenance, I was here till last night, here late last night, trying to get it all kitted out. So we've got the Ferris Z1 here, zero turn. We've brought the rolling mower. I don't think we're going to need it, but I might stripe up some bits if we get time, we'll see. Sprayer, petrol, the blower and the strimmers. And then in this box we've got 2-stroke and water and stuff like that. This box has been really handy, and I had a friend fabricate this frame to get it up off the ground. He's fabricated a new frame right the way along, so we can mount the blower rack to it as well. So yeah, these are Green Touch trimmer racks for anyone wondering, because a few people have asked. Anyway, I am going to go and crack on with the spraying. Damien will get here when he gets here, and yeah, I want to just try and get a bit of momentum today. So, look at that. Just see driving to work, and this is just, yeah, I don't think there isn't a better job for me when the weather is like this and you've got days like this. So yeah, grateful for this morning. What have you done to my van?
Big job, like.
Look at the state of it.
That's not good at all.
Yeah, you run away. You f***ing run away. So folks, that wraps up another week of the diary of a 22-year-old landscape business owner. It won't be called that forever because my birthday is next month, so what we change the video to, I don't know. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video and you've taken some insight as to what it actually takes for me to run this business. I try to show the good and the bad side and try and document as much as I can, whilst also trying to work. So apologies if the content is sporadic, but I have to work, I have to run this business, and that takes priority over this filming. But I'd like to think we've been pretty consistent so far. Guys, got some awesome feedback today from 2 clients that they were working at. I even got an email midday from one client saying how delighted she was that she came across me yesterday, and it's money well spent already. So highs and lows of customers. You're going to get some people that think you're expensive and don't believe in your value, but you'll get others who appreciate the costs of running a business and appreciate what you're bringing to the table. So it's an important reminder to stick to your guns regardless of what people tell you. Obviously if you're charging a super expensive price, you're going to have limited clientele that are going to actually accept your work. But if you've got your marketing right, your branding right, and you turn out a good job, then you shouldn't go far wrong. Anyway, I've got some work to do in the yard next door. I will see you on Monday.